Hey there, Wastelanders, it's Brother Mike, and thank you so much for joining me. Today, we are going to be doing a breakdown of the Season 2 finale of the Fallout show, and But before we start, seriously guys, I want to thank you so much. All of the support, we hit 1K subs in literally a month. Seriously guys, you are all so amazing. I appreciate all of you. And thanks to all of you, I'm now officially part of the YouTube creator program. So thank you all so much. So we have a lot to go over. This finale was crammed with a lot of information and some ends to some storylines, but we also have a lot more questions about what the Enclave is up to and what's going to happen to Vegas. So like all my breakdown videos, we usually stick with one plot line, finish it, and then go on to the next one because we do things different around here. So we're going to start with the Legion. Now, we haven't seen much of them. We only saw them in episode 3 and the end of episode 2. And now we're finally seeing the result of this battle between the two warring legions for who the real Caesar could be. And amidst the fighting, Macaulay Culkin, the Legate Culkin, as we've been calling him, he also disrespectfully drags Caesar's body through the camp just to find his note where he said, "I am Caesar, the Legion dies with me." A sentiment that we've held forever, something that was pushed by lots of people in the Mojave, and even something that now we know Caesar believed in himself, that when he dies, his legion is over. But he was wrong. It continued without him for presumably 15 years. And so, was Caesar, or was everyone else wrong? And would that vacuum of power eventually be closed up with a new Caesar, which is what we see with Macaulay Culkin? He unifies the two separate legions, and then also, to discard of the note, he eats it, which is, I kind of thought was funny. The only thing I have to say is I wish we had more time with the Legion, or at least got to know this new Caesar's kind of backstory in a way. Because unless you go and like look in the casting, we don't even know what his name is. We just know he's the new Caesar. So I'm excited to see where they go with that. And obviously, if you watch the episode, you know at the end that they begin their march on New Vegas to take it back, to make it their new Rome. The same plan that Caesar before them had, the true Caesar. And so I'm really excited to see this. Now, let's jump over to Maximus the Ghoul and Thaddeus. So Maximus, the last time we saw him, he got thrown through the gate. No loading screen required this time, which, lucky. But we see this power armor is kind of insane. The way it's been retrofitted, I kind of like that they ditched some of the goofiness of the flying. We only see the flying once, where he pushes himself up in the air, and he seems to be more in control of it this time. But he has missiles on his back and on his arms, on top of the saw, like the blades on his arms. I mean, this is some absolutely decked out power armor. And if you want to have your own, all you have to do is spend $30 in Fallout New Vegas to get it. Yay! But, the battle ensues. Everyone runs. Thaddeus is able to barely even take out one Deathclaw, and that was with the help of Thaddeus, which, hey, have you ever seen someone shoot a rifle using their toes? Bro is a absolute marksman. Shout out Thaddeus for saving our boy. But amongst this fight, which, oh my gosh, this fight was epic. I really liked it. I was like, oh, is this all the fighting we're going to see? When he pushed him out, I'm so happy we got more. It was so cool. I love the armor. The only thing I just wish they didn't have the goofy like Iron Man type thing, but it makes sense. It would make the armor look weird with the current jetpacks we have in lore. And maybe they found a way to retrofit these armors. I also really like how the armor seems to be multiple different uh, variations of power armors all mixed together. It's like it was salvaged power armor based off of an existing frame, which but in this fight Maximus gets hurt. He can't use his armor anymore, and so he ditches it. He picks up a roulette spinner, a pool cue, and he decides that if he's gonna die, at least he's gonna die a fighter. And then we get an amazing reveal. Someone shoots the Deathclaw with an anti-material rifle and absolutely blasts its head off, just like most of us have done in Quarry Junction and Fallout New Vegas before. And who is it? But the courier? No, an NCR Ranger. And then we see the NCR come back. Now, it isn't a whole huge army. I think there's like 40 of them. But still, this was sick to see. Iconic callback to the opening scene with the Ranger on top of the sign shooting the Fiend. I loved that. And also, I see people like, oh, it was the courier. For a split second, I went, the courier? And then when they zoom out, they make notice that on the box, there's an NCR tag, which is, I think, the writers being like, this guy is a Ranger. That's why the Rangers are pulling through. This isn't the courier. But my lord, that was chills. I loved that part. I'm not an NCR fanboy, but seeing them come through was sick. And I'm so happy we at least saw that they're not all gone and that these reinforcements finally came. And among all this chaos, Cooper Howard is up in the penthouse with Mr. House. And I was waiting the entire season for this showdown. And after reflection, I'm kind of a little bit disappointed with it. Now, I'm so happy it happened. But I just wish there was more said between Cooper and House in the penthouse the second time. But instead, Cooper puts his glass rifle through the door aimed at Cold Fusion, threatening Mr. House, which I don't think if that's the smartest thing to do. But Mr. House says, Cooper asks, well, what would happen if I shoot this thing? And he's like, oh, it'll probably, we have no clue, but it has enough energy to probably destroy planets. So would have been funny if he just shot it and then Todd Howard came on the screen and went, it just works. We're resetting the Fallout timeline. No. But we see Mr. House say this iconic line, which is, oh, Cooper Howard, everyone eventually ends up working for me. And he kind of ridicules Cooper for not delivering or letting him get Cold Fusion like he was supposed to before, which he doesn't have any hard feelings against Cooper, which backs up my theory that Mr. House set Cooper up to do this just so it could give Mr. House more time to complete the platinum chip. But even that wasn't enough time. And even he himself says that he was just a smidge off. And we also get maybe a reference to the courier. And then at the same time, Mr. House says, thank you for bringing me back to life. To life. But if Mr. House is maybe alive, he would still be in there. Or is he a backup? Was my Yes Man backup theory actually true? And are we seeing the personality of Mr. House, who has taken over Yes Man after his ending? Who knows? And is one of the... we'll talk about that later. But we also get one of the coolest things in Fallout ever. And so, Mr. House agrees to help Cooper Howard for giving back Cold Fusion to lead him to where his family may be. And it seems that Mr. House already knows that his wife is not there. He even hints at it. But before that, he says, I'm going to need to come with you. And a Pip-Boy comes out with Mr. House's face on it. And holy peak, how do I upgrade my current Pip-Boy right now to have the House face on it? Because my lord, that was the hardest thing I've ever seen in my life. I wish we got that in the game somehow, and I hope in future games we may get that too, but we'll go over that later. But Mr. House and Cooper, Mr. House directs Cooper through the tunnels underneath the Lucky 38. Now, I'm very, very happy they did not have Hank going in and out of the Lucky 38 past all these death claws to get to it. He obviously hints that there are other ways in and such. And I don't think they wanted to like set in stone a way in because we already know all the locations around the strip. And so adding something that new, that close to the strip would probably ruffle some feathers. So it's kind of up in the air how Hank got in and out. Maybe it was through the tops. Maybe it was through Vault 21. Maybe it was somewhere outside. But while walking through these hallways, Mr. House gives us a bit of lore, and that it seems that he's now privy to the Enclave, and how it's almost unfathomable to him how someone else could be one step ahead of him. Which has me thinking, do they have a version of Pam, like to predict the future for them? And is that how they're staying like one step ahead of House, is because they have like multiple versions of like what House does working around the clock to guess on him and everything? I don't know. But oh my goodness, it was so great. That Pip-Boy was so great. But while walking through the hallways, Mr. House continues to talk to Cooper, where he calls Hank the Enclave's acolyte. And he's not saying that they're part of the Enclave, but he's heavily trying to support them and even join, which is probably something that he was trying to do pre-war, hence what we find in his keepsake box, but we'll go over that when we talk about Stephanie. And Cooper Howard finally makes it to the administrative vault. This is all what he's been working for. His wife is here, at least that's what Hank has told him. And in the midst of this, he saves Lucy. So, we'll take a sideline to the ghoul story and talk about what happens with Lucy up until her and the ghoul meet in the administrative vault. So, it cuts back to Lucy looking at Diane, the mainframe. And there's a lot of misconceptions here about what she actually does. She programs the chips with the personality and to be like an ideal American citizen or an ideal Enclave sympathizer. She is also still alive, but barely. And on top of that, this has been done recently to her by Hank, which means she was most likely frozen in this administrative vault, which raises some more questions. Was she actually Enclave, or was she just being dragged along by them? The question's still up in the air, and I have a feeling we'll be seeing more of her pre-war next season. But one of the biggest misconceptions is that she's probably been there for a few weeks, maybe. Hank recently did this to her. She is not being cryogenically preserved like John Caleb Brad Burton. Sorry. And we would see the dome, the crothing. This has been done recently. We also see she's wearing a hat like Mr. House's. It's not the exact one. It also would be weird that Hank went and got it off of his presumably dead body to bring it down there. This seems more like tech that was replicated. And as Lucy approaches Diane's head, she starts coughing and starting to speak to her. And the only thing she says is, "Please kill me." She's begging to be killed, which it honestly was really depressing to see this. I mean, we know that she was this sweet lady. Maybe she was Enclave pre-war, but I don't think anyone deserves to just be a head programming chips to be loyal servants. And so Lucy gives her her wish, and she kills her, destroying the mainframe, meaning no more chips can be made. Now, the chips that are currently in use are still working, but it seems that now Hank can't make any more of these chips. So Lucy starts to make her way out of the vault, where she gets confronted by Hank. And in this scene, I thought that Hank was going to put it on himself and wipe his brain, something I theorized earlier on, but that actually happens later. So I told you so. And speaking of I told you so's, I predicted almost every major beat in this episode, but we'll talk about that later in the review. And Hank reveals that he's going to chip Lucy and make her the daughter that she was supposed to be, which the way Hank sees the world is so distorted. At some moments, he is so compelled by his projects and appealing to the Enclave, and then in other moments, he's doing it for his children. But this brings up a question. Did he nuke Shady Sands for his daughter and the purpose of a greater world, or was it all for the Enclave? And has he been using his daughter as a way to justify the atrocities that he's committing? I think I may make a longer video about this because it's something big. We see at moments he seems to cherish his daughter more than the Enclave, but at the same time, it's like the Enclave's on top. And I think we kind of get that answer when he brings in that big Jack Ginger legionary to force Lucy to get chipped. But that's when the ghoul comes in and does an epic knife throw into the back of the legionary's head and kills him. And then something that I really like is instead of just outward killing Hank and not giving Lucy the satisfaction or the option of sparing him or seeking justice, he just shoots him in the butt, giving Lucy the option, which I think really shows how him and Lucy have their relationship. Yes, it's rocky, but it's not like he went, "You put me through a pole." He's understanding. I literally gave you up for your dad for something that I didn't even get in the end, and you've had to go through all of this. So he gives her the option of to kill Hank or not with this little mini pistol. He slides her way. And so we're going to continue with the ghoul from now until later on. It'll just make more sense because talking about it, I'll be all over the place. So the ghoul finally starts to make his way to the cryo chambers. And this is where we start hearing ringing of phones, which goes to a flashback of Cooper Howard and Barb at the airport. Now, there was a little bit to this before, like approaching. I mean, he was walking up and all these phones start ringing and then it cuts away. And now we hear those phones come back and we cut to him going and picking up the phone. And it's Mr. House telling him that I'm not the one I'm not who's behind what's about to happen to you. Meaning Mr. House knows the Enclave isn't going to let Cooper just go willy-nilly. Now, some people are saying, why did they do this? Well, Cooper Howard gave cold fusion to the president under the pretenses that within a day, cold fusion would be out there for everyone in the world to use, and the resource war would be over, and the world would go to peace. But when Cooper wakes up the following morning, nothing will be changed. None of the things he was promised will actually happen. And so he knows that. And what's stopping Cooper from going out and talking about it publicly? And so what does the Enclave do? But before he can act on it, or really tell anyone else except maybe Barb, who they already know she knows about it, they take action and take him in and probably throw some conspiracy charges and such. I'm forgetting right now exactly what they say, but they're prosecuting him, where most likely we will see that they're going to say he was a communist sympathizer, make him lose his job, his stance, and ultimately probably Vault-Tec / the Enclave forcing him and Barb to kind of get divorced. And he tells Barb right before that this is all on me. We're doing this for the safety of our daughter. It's all on me. You didn't know anything. all of that, which I love, but they would have taken both of them in, and I think we know why. Barb is very important to the Enclave. She knows a lot. They're not going to kill her or get rid of her just to put someone else in her place. That's too much work, and they already know that she can be controlled. And so basically what they're doing is they are setting up Cooper Howard to look like a commie sympathizer, kind of like Charlie and Moldaver and the other people in that meeting. So he can't go out. So even if he does go out and talk about, oh, there was limitless energy and I gave it to the president, people are going to be like, no, you didn't. What are you talking about? The news says you didn't. Then the news says that you're a dirty pinko. So that is what's happening there. And that's kind of what leads to what we see in that first episode, and why the first episode of season 1, and why he's doing birthday parties for alimony. And it's because he's not getting work like he was. I bet Vault Tech drops him immediately after this. And so this is where we see the fall of Cooper Howard, and where we see that he realizes that he made a mistake. And Mr. House was there to rub it in. And then it cuts back to him in the cryo, section of the administrative vault. And Mr. House opens up the cryo chambers to reveal that no one was there. Now, I think we all really knew that this wasn't where he was going to find them. We know that when he finds his family, that's most likely going to be, last moments of the show, as a whole, the ending of the actual show. And so we expected this, or at least a large portion of the community did. I mean, I did. I was saying it since the minute they panned over that she was not in there. But there is something in there, and it's a hint. Almost like she knew Cooper may come after them one day. And it's a postcard to Colorado. And it all starts to fit together. This huge building that they show in season 1, which they do show in this episode, which seems to be this pre-war enclave that's coming back out of cryosleep. I'm going to have a whole theory video to do with this because there's a lot there. So I'm not going to go over it in depth because I could talk about this a lot. There could be a lot going on with the enclave and how they're operating now. And yeah, but we see that this big enclave facility is in the Colorado mountains, which is kind of smart. I mean, it's probably out of range and probably was barely affected by any of the nuclear blasts. I mean, the most was they probably got shockwaves. But it seems that this building is almost perfectly preserved up there in the mountains, and it's also hidden. Now, I was wrong. I thought that this could possibly be somewhere in Canada. And I just was saying that because of the snow and how they've reference Canada and such, but I'm kind of happy it's in Colorado because you know what else is in Colorado? Vault Zero and Fallout Tactics. Shout out Swiftic, who wanted this so bad. One of my faithful viewers. But yeah, so are we going to find out that Barb may actually be in Vault Zero? Who knows? But I'm so excited to go to Colorado. I want to see snow bad in the Fallout games because, hey, patrolling the Mojave Desert makes you wish for a nuclear winter. Mr. House kind of interrupts this moment to be like, the Enclave is still out there, and that's where we need to find them. And Cooper just drops the Pip-Boy and walks away. Now, this is another misconception. Mr. House isn't in the Pip-Boy. Now that Mr. House has unlimited energy, he is most likely able to access all of his databases and all of his technology, meaning that Mr. House could theoretically, if he is in his AI form, be everywhere all at once, which he kind of already is. He was always watching pre-war, and now he is post-war. So that brings up a question. If he can connect to his robots and potential facilities and anything connected to his database, that means he can connect to Fisto, which means he knows who used Fisto, which means there's the Fisto files out there somewhere. And I think we deserve to know who are on those Fisto files. What I was trying to say is he's not stuck in the Pip-Boy. We also see him flash on the screen in the very end shot with Lucy and Maximus, but we'll get to that later. So he's still there. He can connect to everything. How do you guys think he opens the stuff there? I think really he just gave Cooper the Pip-Boy not only so it looks sick as hell with his face on it, like, somebody please tell me how I can upgrade my Pip-Boy right now to get that. And please, please, Amazon and Bethesda and IGN or whoever codes those, please make an update for it. Please, I will give you my life. I will sell my soul to you just to have Mr. House's face on my Pip-Boy, because I don't care who you choose or what faction you stand for. You guys know I love House. You cannot tell me that him on the Pip-Boy just wasn't sick. Which also brings up something else. If he is connected to his database and everything, that means we could potentially see Mr. House in the upcoming games. Imagine walking into a Robco facility or potentially a Repcon facility, and you see Mr. House's face pop up on the screen, asking for your help getting into somewhere that he's cut off access to. And so you help him, and as you go throughout the place, every time you open up your Pip-Boy, there he is talking to you. That'd be hilarious if he kind of hijacks your Pip-Boy in a future mission quest in an upcoming game. So I really hope that they do something like that. I have a feeling that's why they're emphasizing so much on this database stuff, at least in the extras. So yeah, there's a little theory there. I really hope we get to see that, because I think it would be really cool, and is probably a big reason why they're keeping Mr. House around after all. Continuing with the Ghoul story, the only thing we really see of the Ghoul after this is him and Dogmeat starting to walk towards Colorado. And that's where his story ends for this season. But we still have Lucy and Maximus. Maximus, who just met the NCR back in fullish force and saved his butt big time on top of Thaddeus, which on top of that, Thaddeus bet 500 caps that Maximus wouldn't die. So I bet they're going to walk out of this pretty rich, or at least I hope they do. So who knows, maybe they can go spend some of those caps on the casino, which hopefully we see in this next season start to rebuild. And that's based off of a theory I have about Fallout Shelter, because the last season it was destroyed and now Vegas is back on and powered, and the people fighting in the thing are Lucy and Maximus against the Legion. And so what's happening in the background? Vegas is back online. Who knows? Is next season, are we going to see Vegas start to rebuild itself? I really hope so. But Lucy leaves the Lucky 38 with her father, where she's taking him as prisoner and has installed a chip on him, and is going to activate the chip to make him the father he was always supposed to be. And he gives us a big lore drop about the Enclave, that he sent out all this information, and probably as they speak, they are replicating his discovery and starting to put it inside of people. He is not saying that they have already been putting these chips inside of people. As we know, these chips need to be programmed and such. So you can't just stick a chip in someone and then have it work. It needs to be programmed beforehand. Meaning now we don't know, coming up in these further seasons or even games, who may be chipped by the Enclave or not, and who may be a sleeper agent or fully controlled by the Enclave. And I kind of like this dynamic. But there's one big thing, and I'm going to make a full video about this, because Mr. House gives up the automated man chip way too easily. Why didn't he use it on us as a courier the minute we walked into the Lucky 38? And I think it's because there's probably some flaws with the chip. We know that Fallout technology is never perfect, and that there are always drawbacks. And just like with the Mesmetron, which does something very close to this, it can kind of scramble people's brains, or even explode them, or even cause long-lasting brain damage effects. And are these chips really wiping these memories, or are they just blocking them out? in that the longer you're connected to this chip, the more likely you are for your memories to start reappearing. And I think that's something that they may play with the chicken lover in the next season, because we know that there's like 30, 40, it's anywhere from 20 to like 60 people down in that administrative vault chipped up right now. I'm straight chipped up right now. And what are they up to now? Are they still making chips? What's going on with them? We know that when the mother mainframe was destroyed, that they still were acting as they were before. And so what are we going to see happen to these people previously chipped? Are we going to start to see that there are actual flaws in this? Because why wouldn't Mr. House be using it the entire time? If not, there's like something wrong with it. That's what I'm trying to say, is that I think there's a downside to these chips, and that's why he was just offloading it to Vault Tech. Because if not, that's kind of dumb to give up something like this. Even though Mr. House doesn't really believe in slavery like that, maybe he just built it as a product and went, I don't want to use this, but I have a feeling there are some serious drawbacks to this automated man chip, and that in this future season, we're going to see that come to light. During this confrontation between Lucy and Hank, her father, she has her finger on the button, and Hank pulls out his own and wipes his memory in front of her. Which, what a coward. I don't have much words to describe this, but what a coward move. He realized everything that he had done, and to protect the Enclave, he decides to destroy himself, destroy a father figure for this daughter that he loves so much. What about Norm? What about Stephanie, his potential ex-wife? But we'll go over that later. It was not only selfish, but it was ignorant. It was cowardly. He knew that he wouldn't be able to do anything about these crimes that he's committed. And so what does he do but just give up and wipe his mind? And honestly, this and the Diane scene were kind of tough to watch. Yes, he was a horrible man, but erasing your identity like that, not even being able to remember your own daughter, it was heartbreaking. And I think Lucy knew that her father was gone, and that her father was probably gone the day that he nuked Shady Sands. And it's sad, and I don't know where they're going to go. I don't know if Hank will continue in the show, if she'll bring him around like a lifeless puppet, and maybe we'll see through Hank that these chips really don't work like they say they do. So who knows, but it was honestly sad. Like, Hank is evil and all, yes, but that was a really sad, depressing scene. And I can't imagine the things Lucy is going through from this. I mean, everything has been ripped from her. Her home, her father, and then she finally finds him just for him to essentially be killed. Like, he's not there anymore. And so, rest in peace to my boy Hank. But, free my boy, Uncle NCR Uncle Rico, because we need to get him out of there, and I hope he's doing okay. Free Uncle Rico. And Lucy and Maximus, right after this, finally reunite. And they embrace each other, and they kind of realize the predicament that they're in. And they make their way up to the Lucky 38, right next to Mr. House's big terminal, which says no connection, which doesn't mean he's not online, multiple times through the games. And sometimes when even approaching Mr. House for the first time, he will have a no connection, like, error thing on his screen, like text on his screen. That doesn't mean that he's not plugged in. He is not still trapped in the Pip-Boy. With this unlimited energy he has now, he will 100% be able to access his databases and his cloud, as I've been calling it, the house cloud. So he can move between all these devices, and he's probably was listening to Lucy and everything that she and her father were saying. But we look out over the wasteland. where Maximus welcomes Lucy to the wasteland, and we see the Legion marching upon New Vegas. And what else do we see but Mr. House flash on the screen behind them? And that's where the episode ends. But if you stuck around for a little bit, there's an end credit where it seems the Brotherhood of Steel, Maximus's Brotherhood of Steel, the Saints of, or the Knights of Saint Fernando, or whatever it's called, whatever they're called, I can't remember theirs exactly. They never really outwardly say it that much. But we see that they're getting attacked by other Brotherhood of Steel people. Now, are these the other factions they had over? Is this the Yosemite, the Grand Canyon, and the other guys who I forgot their names? I don't know. But there's one big thing that happens. And Dane brings Elder Quintus, who wanted to be Elder Quintus the Uniter, but is now going to turn into Elder Quintus the Destroyer. But we see Liberty Prime schematics. Now, they cannot build Liberty Prime. If in this upcoming season we see them building a new Liberty Prime from scratch, they have absolutely lost the plot. And that's not why they have the Liberty Prime schematics, in my opinion. Not only would finding a power source be incredibly hard, but are they just going to give them just make it so convenient that they have everything there when Liberty Prime was a one-of-one, a prototype that wasn't even ready for deployment in Anchorage, and is why it is still under the Pentagon 200 years later until the Brotherhood uncover it, where then they literally destroy it even more, trying to fix its power issue, to then finally find a way to give it power just for it to get destroyed, and then us to have to find the beryllium agitator and Fallout 4 to power it again. They're not building a new Liberty Prime. I think they're trying to find a way to hijack the existing Liberty Prime. And you're saying, but why? What do you think's making this whole entire bunker shake like that? Who has bombs big enough to do that? Liberty Prime does. And are we going to see that the Commonwealth has already shown up and brought Liberty Prime with them, and that Elder Quintus is planning to take over Liberty Prime? I hope so, because guess what? If they try to build their own Liberty Prime and are successful in a very short amount of time, that is complete and utter bullshit. Yes, I cursed. Because if they mess up, the only other thing I love so much in this series, with something as dumb as a bunch of clerics, and not even people like, if they had like Ingram and Dr. Madison Lee, maybe they could recreate it. But that would take years on years on years to do. And unless they just show, oh yeah, look, there was a Liberty Prime prototype, even though the Liberty Prime prototype is the one that they're using right now, that there was only one Liberty Prime ever. Yes, this has me a little nervous. I really hope that they don't screw with the Liberty Prime lore and try and make their own, because they can't. They don't have the scientific minds to do so. Even with direct instructions, they don't have the resources to do so in a short amount of time to fight a war. So I think they're going to try and hijack Liberty Prime, which means Liberty Prime is coming in Season 3, which means my Liberty Prime theory may come true, where maybe the dust has settled, and the Brotherhood of Steel finds out that Cold Fusion is with Mr. House now. But they can't approach Mr. House's Lucky 38 with the airships, because there are laser cannons on the top that will and can absolutely obliterate those ships. If it was able to take out nukes falling from the sky, then it can surely do that to just a measly airship. And so with that being said, they've dropped Liberty Prime down. You know, I don't think those lasers could even probably point down towards him, most likely. And so, like what they always do, they spearhead with Liberty Prime. He makes his way through Freeside easily, maybe wiping the floor with some NCR soldiers. And as he approaches the strip, breaks down the door, takes one step into the strip, and stops. The Brotherhood scribes are freaking out. What's going on? He's supposed to continue. Crackling over his speakers. And who comes over those speakers but Mr. House? His magnum opus of a machine. Something that he was very proud of himself. Hence the photo he took in front of him, which you can find in Camp Golf, and is also the hardest photo of Mr. House possible. And the recreation of Rafi Silver in front of it is also incredibly hard. The hardest photo of 2026. I'm saying it now. But besides the Pip-Boy with Mr. House on it, those are contenders. They're equal. That could be a possibility. That could happen. Mr. House's magnum opus machine returned to him. He hacks into him, takes him back over, and boom. Not only do they have the Lucky 38 and its laser cannons on top, but they have a almost indestructible mega robot to protect Vegas forever, meaning they can't go back to Vegas and ruin it. And so, yeah, that's all we see. That's where it ends. And so I'm going to give you guys just my reviews. Now, I loved this season so much for a multitude of reasons. There was so much I loved that they did with the house lore, with pre-existing lore, with the Vault Tech lore. But I also have some downsides. And before I state these downsides, I want to let you guys know I'm not a New Vegas fanboy. Fallout 3 is my favorite. Maybe that's why I have such a big affinity for Liberty Prime and the lore established with Liberty Prime. But I'm a house stan, but I'm not a Vegas fanboy. I love the season, and so this season was just a filler season. It seemed to be very rushed, and it seemed that they had an end goal they wanted to reach and didn't really care how they got there. All we saw was just former shells of these factions that were supposed to change the Mojave Wasteland, or at least that's what they say in the games. You know, it's not like every ending has drastic effects on the Mojave Wasteland in its thing. They kind of copped out on this one. They could have gone with the Mr. House ending, and everything would have been fine. But I don't think they had enough money to do the strip justice. But you're saying, oh, Brother Mike, we saw pre-war strip. Of course they could. We weren't going to go into any of those casinos. They weren't going to make a set for one of those casinos. All they did was show us all the places that we liked from Vegas destroyed. And on top of that, they didn't even show us the Hoover Dam, because that just confirms an ending. And so, in their efforts to keep the ending ambiguous, they kind of made every ending invalid. And that's a big issue. And it seems that some parts were really thought into. The Mr. House stuff was done perfectly. They didn't make, any mistakes at all. With a lot of the lore here, and the continuation of the Vault Tech lore and their experiments and stuff, and the Enclave in Phase 2, which I'm just forgetting. I forgot to talk about Stephanie. Stephanie finally opens Hank's keepsafe box. And what's in there? But an absolutely sexy all-black Enclave Pip-Boy, where she sends a message telling him to start Phase 2, or Stage 2. Now, what could this mean? There's a lot of different things this could mean, but to me, what I believe is that Phase 1 was cleansing the surface above to get ready for Reclamation Day. And it's apparent that the Enclave was not able to do this before the events of the show. As we know from the games, they always lose. They are never able to actually successfully reach their goal of cleansing the wasteland. And so I think she is saying it's time to go ahead with part 2. You need to get all of the living vault dwellers in any of the control vaults or vaults in general, and we need to begin creating our super mutant army. Potentially. Or this may just be a plot for Vault 32 and Vault 33. Maybe they're destined to all become super mutants. Or we may see a different type of mutant. They keep calling them managers or super managers. Are they not going to pinpoint their whole bodies in just their brain, trying to make them master strategists and businessmen and political figures potentially? Or are they going to try and turn them into super mutants? We don't know. But what we do know is that this message was received by the Enclave, and it seems that this Stage 2 is now in effect. And I think we may be seeing the ramifications of that in the 3rd season. But let's go back to what I was talking about before. I don't know how to word this without making it seem like I don't like the show. So I want to keep prefacing, guys. I absolutely love this season. I kind of liked it more than the 1st season. But stuff seemed rushed. It seemed that there were certain plot points they wanted to get to, and they just wanted to give us a lot of questions and not that many answers, to just show us the factions that we all love. I mean, I appreciate and really like every faction in New Vegas, even the ones that they don't put that much effort into or don't have the biggest storylines. They're all done so well. And to just strip them of their identities, to make them former shells of themselves, is kind of just disrespectful to the games. And it doesn't make sense when you're going to end with House there. You want to know how they could have done this? Lucy and the Ghoul follow the courier steps bar for bar. From Good Springs to the Bison Steve Hotel, to the Mojave Trading Post, to Nipton, to Novak, to Boulder City, to Freeside, and then the Strip. And it would have been perfect. But instead, they just showed us stuff destroyed. They took us from area to area, making more plots along the way. I mean, we really only got one plot line kind of ended, or like 2 maybe. Lucy kind of got justice against her father, and the Ghoul didn't even find his family, so never mind. Yeah. And also, the smile that Chet makes to everyone, oh my lord, I think they're going to kill him next season, because that was the smile of someone who's about to get killed off. I thought that he was going to get murked there. But yeah, I'm sorry I'm all over the place. It's just my mind's racing about this. I just, they could have, and then they go with the Mr. House ending and make it where the NCR attacked Mr. House after the ending. Because they literally say they will. And then that maybe could be a reason why Vegas is down on its luck. And maybe why the Hoover Dam is unoperational. Maybe they sabotaged it after he was kicked out, knowing that it would stunt Mr. House, because Mr. House is relying heavily off of the Hoover Dam. And this is the first time in history that Mr. House and New Vegas are fully independent, which has huge ramifications that no one's talking about. And they're all good ramifications, at least for House stands like me. It just means that bro is extremely, this is the most powerful we will ever see Mr. House ever. Potentially even more powerful than him before the war. Yeah, he has unlimited energy, so yeah. But the ending credit. Now, you guys know that I have a love-hate relationship with these ending credits. The first thing I'm going to say is do not take everything you see to heart in this end credit. It is subject to change and will most likely change, just like last season's. But what do we see? It seems the Legion have set up base camp right outside of Freeside, and that the NCR have occupied Freeside, but have also blocked off access to the Strip, which means Mr. House is not letting them on the Strip, or they're agreeing to not go on the Strip. And I think we have a really, really cool chance to see Mr. House and the NCR work together to drive the Legion out, and then Mr. House say, thank you guys for your help. you can maybe have a base here, but you're not allowed here anymore, especially after everything that's happened between us. Now, a lot of people are saying, why didn't we see Securitrons? Why didn't we see a ton roll out? We saw one Securitron move. They don't show the wheels when it moves because it's really hard to make something like that seem real. The engineering genius to make a working Securitron that will balance itself would be incredibly hard. They usually probably just have them on like a platform of such and move them around. Because when it's shown Victor moving around, they don't show his wheel like at all. And when they do, it's for a split second when he's turning. So I think it's more of a budget and like CGI type of thing. Like, I would have loved to see like 20 Securitrons just pour out of the Lucky 38. But I have a feeling that's something we're going to see next time. And people are saying, oh, his whole entire army is destroyed. Then why haven't we seen that? We have seen 3 destroyed Securitrons, and one of them wasn't even at the strip. We also know Mr. House can house. Mr. House can house. He can have hundreds potentially just chilling in the basement of the Lucky 38. We know that the basement of the Lucky 38 is vast, and that we're only just shown one part of the Lucky 38 basement. And so, cool your jets. He most definitely has loads of Securitrons still with him, and I have a feeling we're going to see all of those come to life in the next season. I pretty much called it all. I knew Diane was going to get murked. I called that Hank was going to activate and memory wipe himself, except I'm a little surprised that Lucy is the one that put the chip on him. I also called that it was going to be an NCR Legion showdown at the strip. And I also called that the NCR were going to pull up, but that's merely because if any of you saw some of the set leaks, we saw the NCR in Freeside. And we had not seen them any time coming up, so I knew that they were going to storm in soon enough. But it seems like the NCR is outnumbered, and they're going to need help. And so that's why I'm thinking they're going to ask Mr. House for help. Obviously, there's going to be a cost for this help, which is most likely, get up out of here. You're not allowed here anymore. But who knows? Maybe is this the start of an alliance between the NCR and Mr. House? They're severely weakened, and Mr. House can start to take advantage of them again and also use their potential citizens, which may still be around, as a possible way to make more money again and start to rebuild the strip. So who knows? There's so much going on. I'm so excited for next season, but it's also kind of sad. This channel was built off of this show. It's how I've grown, and it's how we've all connected. And so it's a little bit sad seeing it end, because it's almost an end of an era for us here in the Wasteland and all of you Wastelanders. But without this show and everything, we wouldn't be here we wouldn't be chatting in our streams every night, and we wouldn't be all talking in the Discord. So that's just another reason why I love this season. Do I think it's better than the first season? Yes. I'm saying that mostly for lore. I think the pacing of the first season was way better. It seems like everything just happened so fast this season. They were trying to fit so much in this season with not enough time. I mean, we only got 12 extra minutes for this finale because it was 3 minutes of a review that wasn't skippable of the whole season. So yeah, in the end, I give this season a solid 8 out of 10. I have some big qualms in some story devices they took and how they sidelined certain plots to then make them major at the end. My biggest is, why didn't you give enough attention to the Legion? You gave far more attention to the NCR, and there was 6 of them at camp. It stumps me. Them wanting to not confirm an ending has just invalidated the events in the actions the courier takes in New Vegas. Now, this doesn't mean New Vegas is destroyed. For the people out there saying, oh, I can't even play Vegas anymore knowing what it becomes, chill out, guys. At the end of the day, the ending of the game is all up to us. And if so be it, you can just think of the show as not canon. Because sometimes I do that to cope. But at the end of the day, it's just a game. All these endings have big ramifications, and who knows? Maybe down the line they'll say that this is kind of an alternate reality and some things are up in the air. But I don't know. So let me know what you think down below. Do you think we should have just picked an ending and went with it? Because realistically, if Lucy and the Ghouls showed up to the Strip and the Legion had it taken over, and we start to see a change within the Legion and that they were actually starting their renaissance and were changing the way they act and started accepting technology, that would have been better than what we got. Even if we roll up to the Strip and it was just occupied by the NCR and it was a little boring, that would have been better than what we got. If he would have shown up there and Yes Man roll up to Cooper Howard asking him questions because he saw some reference of him in his thing, that would have even have been better. And in my opinion, they should have just went with the house ending. If they're going to keep him alive up there, then why not just do it in its full glory and keep Vegas intact? And it's because I don't think they had enough money to really do that. And I think this season was kind of a filler season. And it could have been taken a lot slower. But I'm not saying this season was bad. I enjoyed this season so much. And I honestly liked it more than season 1. Now, do I wish the pacing was akin to season 1? Yes. Do I wish they kind of sidelined plots like the Reggie and Betty stuff, which they were building up to in every single episode and then don't show us anything to do with it? All they show is Chet and them banging on the door. It's stuff like that, where it seems like they had all these plots going and then they went, oh, how do we mix these all together? And so they just throw them all in there. Because at least in season 1, the vault plot lines were compelling. I mean, the only time I was concerned was when I thought they killed off Woody to then not go into what happened to Woody. So are they just kind of retconning his character so Bro can be on Severance? Like, what's happening? But I don't want to seem like a Debbie Downer. I absolutely loved what they did with Mr. House. The continuation of Vault Tech and its lore. The water chip stuff was amazing. The Deathclaw confirmation was amazing. Some of the stuff of seeing how the Enclave operated within Vault Tech was amazing. And I love seeing clarification like that because a lot of people think that Vault Tech is the Enclave, and it's not that simple. The Enclave controls Vault Tech. The Enclave is Vault Tech's boss, but the normal Joe and the Vault Tech, or most of the managers and junior managers, didn't even know who they were, and just that they were the investors. And so, let me know what your theories, your qualms, how you felt about this episode down below. And if you enjoyed today's video, consider liking and subscribing. And once again, guys, thank you so much. I've wanted to be a YouTuber since I was like 7 years old. And today, this morning, just a few hours before recording this, I was accepted into the YouTube, I don't know what it's called, like the creator program. And I'm not going to sell out. I'm not going to make clickbaity videos. I'm not going to hide stuff behind paywalls. I think I am going to start a community, but I think the only stuff I'm really going to post back there is like behind the scenes stuff, and maybe the videos of me building the overseer's desk that I'm going to start building soon, and some of the other props and stuff that we're going to make for the new set that I'm building for my videos. So stay tuned. And once again, guys, thank you all so much. You've made a little boy's dream come true. And so, with all of that being said, you are cared for, you are loved, and you stay safe out there, Wastelanders.